Okay, it is 7 o'clock. We will start this meeting. It's the annual town meeting of the town of St. Joseph. Our town clerk takes our minutes, and before we start it, we will stand and take the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I hope you all signed in back there on the table, so you have to sign in order to vote. And there are packets there for everybody. A couple of things I should just go through. For those that you don't know me, I'm Teresa Johnson. I'm the chair here. Our town clerk will take minutes of this meeting. We do follow parliamentary procedures, and we are governed by Wisconsin statutes 60.10 and 60.11 for this meeting. Only town residents may vote, but there are landowners that may speak, but they cannot make motions or vote. So you may be a landowner in this town, but this is not your residence. So you sure can speak to us, but you can't vote. The first thing in the packet is the 2023 minutes from our annual town meeting. If you're going to make a motion or second it, you need to give us your name. So anyone want to make a motion to approve those minutes from the 2023 town meeting?
I moved to approve the minutes from last year's town meeting.
And this is Matt Moore, who's on our board. Is there a second? And Chris Marshall. So the motion's been made and seconded. All of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Those opposed say nay. Motion carries. The first thing we're going to do today is introduce our 2024 elected town board members and swear in, but unfortunately Justin is not here yet, so he's just walking in the door. He's got fantastic timing. So we'll let him sign in, and then we'll have him come up here and have Dan, and if you want to come around and do the oath for them, I'd appreciate it. So Dan, if you just want to come in front, unhook this lanyard here and come in front of it, and Justin will join you, and we'll have her do the ceremonial. Well, so that you're in front of me is where I kind of want you to be, so people can see them. He's coming. Yeah, so if you can go over here. Yep. Justin, if you want to come in here next to Dan. This is your ceremonial swearing in. We know you've already done the real thing, so go ahead.
I,
Justin Bruce,
having been elected or appointed to the office of
third supervisor,
swear that I will support
the
Constitution of the United States
Constitution of the United States,
and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
Constitution of the State of Wisconsin,
and will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of said office to the best of my ability.
Discharge the office. That's my
So,
Dan, you get to take a place at the table.
I knew where we were going
when you get there. I know. Also, Justin, who's our supervisor too, was reelected to this term. Oh, I'm sorry, you're one. Sorry, one. Dan has taken over for Lori DeRozier, and so I want Lori to have an opportunity to speak if she so wishes in front of everyone. I'm putting you on the spot. Thank you very much for being here, and thank you for all the work that you've done for the town these past years. It's greatly appreciated because I know what it takes to volunteer your time with little or no thanks. So on behalf of the board, I want to thank you. But if you want to come up over here or there, it's up to you. Okay.
So yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to express the appreciation that I have for the opportunity to have served at the table for the last 8 years for the town of St. Joseph. You are certainly all under good hands with your newly in place board. So again, I thank you to all the voters that have given me that opportunity. And thank you.
Thank you for doing a great job. Thank you. Okay, on to reports. There's a lot in this packet. I'm sure you've all looked at it and went, oh my goodness, there's a lot here. So that's why we give it to you to take home. The town board report for 2023, surprising to me, we had 22 meetings, which I was quite amazed for. As you can see at the top paragraph, I wanted you all to know that these board members, including Lori, because she's been on the board in 2023, also serve in other roles besides just coming to this board meeting. They all have other meetings to go to each and every month. So I give them credit because they've all stepped up to the plate and taken on that responsibility. This outlines what we've done this year. Myself, I think I am most proud of the fact that we had some good things and difficult things to face in terms of enforcement for zoning. But we've also done some very good things. We were hit with a bad storm in April that was a little overwhelming at the moment. Our Public Works committee, and specifically Chris and myself and our contractors did a good job at cleaning that up, and there was a lot to clean up. We also have gone forward with some plans. One of them is to make a plan with the DOT for entrances to properties off of Highway 35. The DOT at one time allowed you to have an entrance every 1,000 feet. Now they're up to 2,000 feet. So it's imperative that we get them to sign off on a plan. So people who just choose in the future to develop their land are not locked out of being able to do that because they can't access 35. And kind of started at the interchange area with that business park, but it's moved all the way down because we've understood from them what they want from us. And so that's something that the board is still working on. It's not done, but we approved going forward on that because we feel that it's important for the future of this town and for the people that are holding large tracts of land and may want to develop in the future in some way or shape. We brought back the Fall Festival last year, thanks to our Parks Committee. It was well attended and well received, which I think is absolutely great. You know, there's been a variety of things. We approved the loan and the building last fall. So the building will come back from bid this year on the 25th to be awarded on May 2nd. So that's coming forward. That's why we had so many meetings last year, for those reasons. I won't read the whole thing, but I just think that kind of gives it out there in a nutshell. Does anyone have any questions about what the board did in 23? Okay, we will move on to the most important, the finance picture. We just had our audit done. This town gets audited every single year because our clerk is also the treasurer of this town, and her deputies are also deputy clerk treasurers. So the state of Wisconsin requires that we be audited each and every year. The audit went extremely well this year, and I want to give kudos to our clerk treasurer, Terry Kelly, because she's done a great job. She's done a great job. And, you know, when we hired her, one of the things I said was she's got a bookkeeping background and we need somebody who knows how to do this. So she's done an amazing job for us, has done really good. And I think the fact that the audit went so seamlessly this year tells a lot about what she's done for us. So I do appreciate it. When you look at this audit, the thing that you have to look at is we budgeted something and then we changed our budget partway through the year. And then I take that back. I think we left it all the same. We left it the same. That was our final. And the actual is the amount we spent. So this fourth column shows you that we were over under. One of the things that happened this year and why you see us putting in $1.38 million into the budget is that is money from our loan account for the Church Street project last year. So we built Church Street. We redid all those streets in Holton and controlled the water with a water sewer main down that street. So people are not having flooded out homes anymore. We dropped it down the bank to the city of Stillwater property and then to the river with approval by DNR, Army Corps, all the entities that have to sign off on it. That was eroding badly at places. There were trees with half their roots hanging out of them. So it was a good thing for us to stabilize that whole ravine. We waited a year to do this. We were going to do it in 22, but we waited 1 year to get $134,000 grant money from the DNR to stabilize that ravine. So that money, unfortunately, did not get paid to us in 23 like we intended because it just didn't get paid. We applied, but we still are waiting for it. The state is very slow on some of those things sometimes. So unfortunately, you wait. So that'll bring that number down. Obviously, this year we'll be in a much better spot. So we are sitting with 3.88 million in the bank. About 2 million of that is loan money, and the rest of it is funds that we have here in the town. And the loan money is to pay for the building. We have just a few hundred, maybe about 180,000 left on the road funds after we get paid this 134. So that money can be used towards public works, roads. There's a couple of things that we are looking at in the town to get done in the next year or two, and we'll use it towards that. But we have to wait till we get paid from the DNR for that. On the back side of this blue sheet is our indebtedness to the town. Now, we are indebted for a total, as you see at the bottom right, of 8.777. That indebtedness is our total indebtedness if we pay it off in the schedule provided. We can borrow at this town up to $50-some million. We would never dream of doing that, but that's what we have the ability to borrow. The first loan that's on there is going to be paid off in 26. That loan was for the prior to this last fire truck that we bought, plus the roof on this building. The next note for 7.15 million is our road funds. We borrow every 10 years. This is coming back up in 29. So when we pay it off in December of 29, I would presume that the board will take out another loan to fix roads. We get a much better rate on this loan and a much better price on repairs when we do big chunks of money at the same time rather than a little every year. The third one on here is $721,000, which we took out in 21 to pay for a new fire truck. That truck today is over $1 million. We expect delivery of it at the end of this month, correct? The end of this month? Okay. So we have a few more years to pay on this. We have our trucks, our big rigs, the 3 of them will be on an 8-year rotation. So every 8 years we'll buy a truck, and the last truck going will be 24 years old. That 20 to 25 year pattern is about what their longevity is. So this gets us to that point by rotating this loan every 8 years. Just know that the truck we bought today is not going to cost us that price 6 years from now. It's going to cost us well over $1 million. And the last note that we took out was a 2.265 for the town building. And we took that out at 5.5%. Just so you're aware, we have no penalty for prepayment and no penalty to refinance on that one. We could have gotten it for 1/8% less, but we would have had a $30,000 price tag to pay if we wanted to refinance it or pay it off early. So we paid a little tiny more to get us to that point. So does anyone have any questions regarding that blue page?
I do.
Go ahead.
Curious on the 8-year rotation.
Yes.
Is there any residual value? Because these
Oh, yeah.
have that much mileage.
Do you want to speak to that? Oh, yeah, we sell them, but go ahead.
Yeah, so we're currently looking at selling some of the trucks. The tender that's going out this year is an old 89 tender, and it's going to be worth $5,000 to $15,000. It's just an old, like, it's not a milk truck, but it looks like an old milk truck. When we get to selling engine 1, which is a 2006, I believe. I have to look at my truck schedule. 2001, sorry. That's gonna probably be worth about 25,000. They get down, by the time they're 20 some years are down, they're down to around 50,000 or less. The last engine that we essentially gave away, the last engine, it was an exposed rear cab, and we sold it for $1 to a fire department in Tennessee, just so that they could have it. Unfortunately, we don't get a lot of money out of them. If we were selling them quicker, within 10 years, we'd get a lot more money out of them, but we'd lose a lot of money by repurchasing every 5 to 10 years. We just don't put enough miles on. That's the reason why we keep them for 24, is because we do have low miles on them.
So you came back 8, I thought they were, the life cycle was 8 years. Then you
Oh.
got to 89. I thought,
Some of them are really old, and some of them we have to replace. The one we're replacing this year is an 89, and it's a really old truck. But once we get them in the current 3 truck cycle, they're going to be 24 years old when we get rid of them. The nice thing about our new trucks, the way that we're designing them, is we're designing one engine, and then our other 2 trucks are actually going to be, so our engine carries 1,000 gallons of water, and it's got full engine capabilities. And our next 2 trucks, or other 2 trucks, are going to be 3,000 gallons and full engine capabilities. So we'll essentially have 3 engines, but 2 of them will also function as water trucks too. So that's kind of the whole reason for doing it, is reducing from 4 to 3, just so that we can have one less big truck.
Any other questions from anyone? All right, the next thing on here is Public Works. Chris, do you want to take that on? You can turn your mic on.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. So we were discussing how we chose to overhaul Church Street and all the other small roads that come into downtown Holton there. We've completed all of them. I think everybody's pretty happy with that choice. The next big thing we did for 23 is we crack sealed and seal coated several roads. We also sent out for bid for 2024 for seal coating and crack sealing. We also spent quite a bit of money as we all got educated on that heavy snow in April. So the town took it upon ourselves this year to hire a professional company to come in, and I went through the town and pretty much gave everything a haircut that would have gave us some problems with snapped off trees on the road if that would have happened this year or following years to come. And then our town tractor, to bring you up to speed on that, is last year we had no fault of our own as a town. We had a catastrophic failure with the arm on it. I was able to call the manufacturer and have a discussion with them, and they came up here and picked up the tractor, went through the tractor, and brought it back to us at no cost. And then now this year, I sent it out to have it fully serviced, and they found a catastrophic issue with the left front wheel assembly. It's currently sitting, waiting for parts for it. My goal here is that if I don't see some action taken from the dealership, that I'll be looking into leasing a unit for the summer, because we do have employees to put in the tractor and get our job done.
Bob Marty is the chair of the Public Works Committee, in case you want to ask him any questions. He wasn't able to be here tonight. And Chris is our representative on Public Works. Yes, sir.
So other than expressing my deep gratitude for 85th Street from a few years ago, I do have a concern, and it's called gophers.
Yes.
And there's been some serious damage done on 85th Street because of gophers. I would encourage the township to think about some kind of a gopher management program, because they're undermining the road. And this is really evident. The south end of 85th Street, there's huge gopher mounds.
Okay.
And the north end is where we actually had the sinkhole. And I just think if we could get ahead of it on gopher management, we might ultimately save quite a bit of money.
I'll take a look at it.
Yep. Thank you. Anyone else on Public Works? I think our Public Works Committee does an excellent job. They go out and review the roads every year. They, have the engineer at their meeting to decide what roads are going to get seal coated and crack sealed for the following year. And we have a pavement management plan that helps us decide what's going to get paved in the future. So there are some fail-safes in place to help us make good decisions. Our technology committee, our chair's not here for that, but they've worked on a variety of things this year. We have broadband coming throughout the whole town this year, so everyone should be able to hook in. They've looked at our disaster recovery and cloud backup. We have meeting recordings now that are online that you can watch from every meeting that takes place. We did a big website upgrade at the end of last year and went to a new website, which seems to be working well and people seem to be happy. We're also working on document management, and they have a big role in how IT is going to fit into the new building and what we're doing there. So we do have an IT company that we are using here for our backup, for our server, for all of those things that the town needs. And it's very secure, and he will transfer everything into that new building along with our AV system that we have here. These mics and everything will go over there also. So we will reuse all of them in the future. Anything on IT? All right, then I will have Anton come up. If you want to come up to the podium, Anton, and do Plan Commission.
So the Plan Commission basically has a handful of jobs in the town. One of the main ones is reviewing land division. So if somebody wants to take their property and split off a lot to sell to somebody or give it to somebody, or when somebody is taking a larger property and dividing it into a large number of lots, that comes before us and we review it. And we make sure that the roads that are designed are going to connect to the right places, and that all of the lots are following our rules for minimum size, right handling, wetlands, lots of things like that. And last year we had about 9 of those small divisions. Sometimes that's people that are splitting up 3 or 4 lots to sell off. And sometimes it's just dividing a piece of property into a couple of lots for kids or family members to move on to. We had 3 proposals for major subdivisions, which is where we've got 5 or more lots being formed, so typical subdivision. Also now under town zoning, we have conditional use permits that review, which are if you want to do something on your property that is allowed but not permitted legally, which basically is, for instance, you have certain kinds of home businesses, or you want to have a business in an area where it's allowed, but the town might want to put conditions on it, like hours that can operate, or buffers like trees around it to avoid disturbing neighbors or so forth. We review those. There were about 4 of those. And the other thing that we do is we're sort of the review board for the town ordinances. So when the town board wants a new ordinance, we'll generally draft that. And at the moment, we haven't done much there. We did one last year, I believe, for the short-term rentals. I think that was last year. And the other thing that we're doing right now, the town has about 40 or so ordinances, maybe 50. And some of them haven't been revised since the 1970s or so. And so we're looking through all of those a few at a time, making sure that they still do what they're intended and making sure that they conform to the various changes in state law in terms of what's allowed in a town that have happened in the 50 years or so since. And I put together a handout with information about the Plan Commission. I'm not sure if it's on the website yet, but if it's not, we'll get there. And generally, we just try to kind of keep the town moving smoothly, taking a little bit of the load off the board. We're not the decision makers, but we make recommendations to the board with input from the town engineering firm and the town planner. And that's about it. Questions? Yes.
I'm just curious, what's the position of the planning board around the strategy? I mean, is it just an administrative function when someone wants to split their lot, or I mean, is there a long-term plan to say for this area, we don't want that much growth because of the new bridge and all that other stuff?
Yeah, there's a long-term plan. You can actually find it on the town's website.
Yeah.
The current one runs to 2026. It's on a 10-year schedule, which is per state statute. It's pretty good sized. I think it's over 200 pages.
Yeah, I've read it, but I really can't see there that we're trying to. I mean, I lived here 30 years, and probably the last few years, lots of change, right? Probably because of the bridge and everything else going on. It's going to change exponentially here.
It has.
So is there, you know, kind of a governor here put into place through the board to kind of slow that, or is it just if you meet the criteria, boom, you can split it, you can sell it, you can do whatever you want with it?
A couple of things there, and I think Teresa might want to talk a little bit to that as well.
Yeah, Teresa.
So the fundamental rule is that if you own the land, you can do anything with the land that the town allows, and the town has restrictions in terms of zoning that we put on places.
Right.
So, for instance, if you're in part of the town that has residential zoning, you can subdivide your land. We have no authority to stop that, but we have authority to control how the subdivision is done, and like say, no, you really need to connect this road to this other place.
Right.
But the town can say that area is zoned for residential use. You can't put a gas station in part of that lot.
So the response is the guidelines are the guidelines. Whatever people want to do, they can do, and there's nothing there that the township is going to do to try and limit growth.
Well,
like a booming growth type of thing.
What we do to limit growth is things like the minimum lot size, for instance. We've got minimum lot size.
Right.
We do have the different types of zoning around town. So around the intersection.
Right here. There it is. Yeah.
Yes, convenient. There's a map right there. So around the intersection, we've got areas that are land for, in quotes, because the town doesn't own the land. The town's not planning on buying the land or inviting in developers. Yeah. But in a sense, what the comprehensive plan does is it encourages that. It provides guidance to the town board on what we expect to be happening and what we'd like to happen in different parts of the town. So basically, most of that you can see as yellow or that very light orange. Both of those are rural areas that
3 and 5.
Yeah, we don't expect commercial development or any. You know, you can put some small businesses there, like a contractor storage yard, but not retail types of businesses under our.
Yeah, so I'm kind of hearing, which it is what it is. I mean, kind of hearing if it fits in the guidelines, they can do whatever they want. So there is no governor kind of throttle in place to kind of slow this potentially exponential growth that's going to happen here in the next 5 years.
The throttle is in those guidelines.
Well,
so if you look at our zoning, you know. We can't put in dense development in most of these areas. You can't put in commercial development in most of those areas. If somebody wants to go into that purple area and put in an apartment building with some retail underneath it, that's something that, because that's in that purple area, which is what we call like town center mixed use, that's something that our comprehensive plan would encourage the board to consider approving.
Yeah,
I think.
Well, I was quite surprised, you know, when the plan was updated. You know, that I saw 3 acres, which is really unfortunate because now I live on Fox Ridge, and now Fox Ridge property on the north side split. So now we got a whole bunch of houses, you know, 3, 4, I don't know, houses going up in there now because the property is purchased and now it's split. I see things like across the street here. You know, the house on the corner. What is that, light industrial zone or what? Did you see that?
No, our zoning administrator is already on top of that. That is not a business.
Sure looks like.
Well, it's someone who had to liquidate something and he's trying to get it into a different place than here. He's not using it as a
Looks like a lot of
business.
permanent structure for being a temporary.
Well, we have zoning in place and we have a subdivision ordinance and a building code. All those codes are the rules. They're not choices. Those are the rules. And since before 2006, when this town plan was updated, this town has always maintained a 3-acre minimum or 3-acre density, however you want to call it. The fact remains, we all like to look across the fields and say, isn't this great? But the people who own those somehow in some way, shape and form may want to retire at some point or may want to do something completely different and they have the right to do so. And I'm with you. I like the fact that, I mean, I grew up on a farm down in Pierce County. I like the fact that you could look out for, you know, half a mile and not see anything more than another set of buildings. You know, unfortunately, we live in a place that's going to take the pressure from the Twin City Metro and that bridge. And I think the town board did a very good thing by putting together their town plan, their subdivision ordinance and road ordinance, and then went under their own zoning to try to control this.
Yeah.
If we would have remained under the county's zoning laws, there would have been a whole different conversation taking place here.
Well, Teresa, I've been here before. I think you kind of know my feeling on this. There's so many little things that are happening that are collectively going to significantly change this area.
Yeah.
You know, bike trails, bike paths, connective tissue between the parks, you know, an umbilical cord running from Stillwater over to Holton, you know, as a major, I don't know what you call it, a city zone or something like that. I mean, these are all things that are just incremental and they're all going to come together and it's going to significantly change this area. So, you know, we're here to talk in the annual meeting here, and I'm talking to the board tonight, you know, requesting that you're the elected officials, you know, kind of protect our area and don't let the city come and encroach. And you know, we don't want to be a Woodbury, and, you know, people say, oh, we're not going to be Woodbury. Well,
well, we're not going to have city lots because we don't have city water and sewer.
Yeah.
And at the time of the bridge process, we did that study on that to make sure whether we could or could not handle that, and we really can't.
Yeah.
So there is limitations just by the topography.
Yeah.
You know, I hear people come in and say, well, I want to do this, this, or this. And I go, you do know we do not have sewer and water. And they go, oh, did not know that. I said, no, we do not. So that changes what happens here. But I think prior boards and the prior townspeople that put this plan in place that's reflected in the zoning did an excellent job in containing that commercial and still allowing it to take place here because people still want the ability to have a daycare facility or whatever. But then let's the rest of the town be open just to residential development. You know, this town's going to look completely different in 4 years. 40 years. We all know that. And there's no doubt because it's the fastest growing area in this county.
Well, the reality is I've been here over 30 years and it hasn't changed much, which is fantastic.
I know, but there's been a lot happening.
In the past 3, I've seen a big shift. So like I say, when I talk about this exponential curve, I think it's coming. So
it is.
You know, and like I say, I'm just expressing my personal opinion here. So I appreciate the time.
Yeah.
And your
no problem
time too. So thanks a lot.
I'd like to touch on what was that cord we voted on last week?
At the urban.
The U.S. Census Bureau.
Right.
Urban area.
I'd like to touch on that just for a minute. I was totally against it, completely flipped out about it, because this is a whole nother state from them putting their little tentacles over here. We were dead set against it. Well, then what's fun that we're all hearing, government overreach just came in here and went, you're taking it anyhow. Like it.
Yep.
That's what happened right here.
Yep.
So everybody needs to speak up a little bit above us.
Well, isn't that you though? I mean, we're the citizens. You're the board. You have.
I'm sharing with you. Talk to your senators and your congressmen and email. I don't just have the power. I'm saying up above just smacked all of us.
We pushed back.
Both people.
We pushed back, and we were told if we did not approve it, it didn't matter.
Pissed.
They were going to do it anyway.
Yeah, well, guess what that little purple line is going to be? It's going to be the next light rail.
I'm just telling you we pushed back as hard as we could push.
And your thought process is right, because I am dead set against talking to MPCA about nothing.
Right.
Right? This is Wisconsin. And that's what I wanted to keep out of here. Well, they gave us the BS of the census thing. Yeah, we'll watch it.
No,
See what
I get it.
happens.
I get it.
Yeah.
I'm, like I say, thanks for the time. I'm expressing my voice, my opinion. So I ask that, you know, all things considered, look at everything collectively.
Mhm.
And I think I'm not the only person in this room that kind of feels this way. So keep
Well-
keep up the good fight.
Yeah. Things happen to us that are out of our hands. And many times we don't find out about them until they say, here, rubber stamp this. And we go, wait a minute, what does that mean?
Can I give a good example of
Go
that
right
really
ahead.
quick? So a great example of that was a house renumbering situation that happened recently with Plan Commission. Basically, the county came in and said, we're renumbering these. And we were told that's the end of the discussion. This board was not even informed until after the post office was informed. So I think what a lot of people need to realize is we have authority over certain things within the zoning code, but we also are answerable to the county and to the state and then to the Fed. So if a rule that we have doesn't align with what the state says, we have to change and we don't get a say. If the county comes in and makes a decision, we don't necessarily get a say. We can push back as we've done in the past, but it doesn't mean that a decision will, you know, come to the way that the town people wish.
And I understand that. And that's what I ask. I mean, there's a path to resolution and there's a point of resistance. I mean, much like the preserve.
Yeah.
Right? And the grant, you know, I heard time and time again, can't do anything about it. You know, it's part of the grant. Well, we're finding we can do something about it, right?
Doesn't mean you'll get your answer, but we're gonna try. I
Well,
make
we'll
no
try.
promises. I make no promises.
We'll try,
Yep.
right? But that's all we can, that's all
Yep.
I can do. So,
Okay.
all right.
Anyone
Thank you.
else on Plan Commission?
I have one question. I'm curious, and do we know approximately how many new residential lots were created last year? Approximately, not CSMs. How many buildable, creatable
Well,
lots were
the
created last
40 over here off the golf course came in as a final,
year? Okay.
which is 10, 12 lots. And then we probably had a half a dozen CSMs. So another, 5 to 6. So I would presume we're 20 or under last year because we had one subdivision that didn't go through. We had a couple that finalized out, so we could be at a 2025 maybe, but they started earlier. It just depends on the year because we had that big 80 or 100 acres up here that was gonna come in and then fell apart. And I've heard
But
rumors about
there's
it.
also an existing inventory of lots that haven't been sold.
Yes,
for
not a
while.
lot, but there is some. Yep,
Yeah, the interest rates slowed it down.
yep,
Just curious.
for sure. Okay, on to the fire department. You're up.
All right, Madam Chair, town supervisors, town residents. We would like to thank the town and its residents for their continued support in basically every way that we are supported by you. With the decision to build a new town hall, our department will get the space we need for storing supplies, a training and meeting room, which is the room we're in, a hands-on training area, which is our current offices, and offices for our staff, which is the clerk's offices. We're continually improving our administrative side of the department as the federal and state requires more from our department in reporting, surveys, and information gathering. We've developed a much better system for incident tracking for both fire and EMS, as the time commitment for both has more than doubled from previous years. Proper reporting not only enhances our own knowledge, but it also helps with fire prevention throughout the nation, and it allows us to apply for grant monies. On the operational side, we've seen great growth with incident response. Over the year, our call response increased from an average of 4 firefighters early on in 2023 to 5 towards the end of 2023. First quarter of 2024, we have 6.8 firefighters per call, so we're increasing even more. This may not sound like a lot, but having that extra 2 people that we're seeing now has allowed us to staff an extra truck or an extra 2-person crew on our engine. We've gone to a department that's only been able to allow 1 truck to assist with other departments, or 1 or 2 trucks within our call response to being one of the best responded departments. There are other departments in our county that are struggling right now, and we're definitely on the opposite side of that. We also have included and added Hudson as an automatic aid to structure fires within our response area. So that means that if there is an incident or a structure fire within St. Joe, we have 3 automatic departments, 3 departments automatically called. And that means 3 full chiefs, 3 engines, and 3 water tenders automatically before we even have to make any other decision. On the flip side, we've increased our auto aid coverage for Hudson to include North Hudson and the town of Hudson south of Willow River State Park, basically down to 94. So we support Hudson basically on that north end of town. This year is our 60th anniversary of the fire department. So we are planning on doing something bigger this year, most likely in the fall with a fall festival. I'm not going to go through the calls for service. I'm going to go through some of the notable calls that we've had this past year. We assisted with a natural disaster in North Hudson in July. We did approximately 12 calls. Those are the only ones that we were counted for. I bet you we helped with over 30 calls down there, because there was an apartment building that had its roof blown off. There were trees across roads. We had 4 or 5 trucks down there patrolling for 2-3 hours to assist. We had a cardiac arrest save in November in Willow River State Park. We weren't paged to it. Our responders were listening, and we were supposed to be paged to it because it's our area. And luckily our first responders started it en route and asked dispatch to include us. And because of that, we have someone that we've saved, and they live up in Walker, Minnesota, and she came late last year to hand out some some life-saving awards. We had a couple of structure fires, one in May in Burkhart, where we had a great stop. It was limited to siding and very minor attic involvement. We had a chimney fire earlier this year that had minor damage to roof and ceiling of the house. We had a great stop in a house in Holton in August, limited to 1 room. We landed a helicopter in July in Somerset in the middle of the night in their parking lot of their fire station. And we had an odd one. We had a car versus bear in July. Throughout the year, we logged 1,470 hours for events. And so that's stuff other than training and calls. We had 785 hours logged for drills for 2023. Roughly 3,955 and a half total logged hours for our firefighters. It's roughly 175 hours per person average. That does not include any officers that spend extra time doing their duties for the town. Some of the things that we've sent people to for training over the last year: Fire One, 5-alarm extrication training, fire investigation, fire instructor, fire officer, FEMA classes. We finished station upgrades with new air hoses, electric reels, and safe cage fans. You can see that we're starting to do our garage doors finally. We actually have 2 of them in operation now. And the garage doors have gone from non-safety or non-photo-eyed, non-timed garage doors, and one actually broke last week right before we replaced it. So we had that 3rd door replaced out of orders because we weren't able to use it. New doors will have 2 photo eyes for people and for trucks. And we also have time so that it'll close on its own. There's some great light in the station now because of the extra windows. I won't go through membership. You can look through it. Basically what happened in membership for the year is that we increased our department from 22 to 29 people. Our goal was 30 members just to make to allow ourselves to respond better to situations, and so far we've seen a huge increase in that. We've increased the budget for our length of service award, basically our retirement program. Worked on recruitment and retention for and retention for our firefighters. I think the retention part alone was a big increase for us. We have not done anything like that since 2003. We realized we haven't given our firefighters a raise or increased our retirement since 2003. Fire apparatus. The table in the fire apparatus, we kind of explained it before, but there's roughly a 3 big truck rotation. All the small trucks are going to be kind of filtered in whenever we have money for them. Most or pretty much all the big truck or all the little trucks are new. The only one that is not new right now is the rescue, and we're going to try to replace that in the next couple of years. The replacement cost, if bought new, would be about $350,000. We're actually trying to look at some used trucks. There are some actual 2023 used trucks that are significantly below $350,000. So we're going to try to make do with a slightly used truck, a couple-year-old truck, and save a significant amount of money on that one. The last page is our current officers. We do have one officer position that we're going to be awarding this year. We're currently finishing up or revising our bylaws so that we can give out that 3rd captain according to our new bylaws. And we also, since 2017, have not given out Firefighter of the Year awards. And so that is the last list on the last page. And these are our Firefighter of the Year's awards since basically since 2018. We gave those out in January at our awards ceremony. And we were also able to give out those in our Oops Awards. And our Oops Awards are always the best part of our appreciation dinner. So far this year, we've had a small Oops Award that is in the running for it. Talking about the garage doors again, we had a training night and our guys were leaving in the big trucks and engine 6 pulls out and they closed the door and we didn't have any photo eyes. And so they closed the door on another big truck and the big truck got caught the door as it was coming down and ripped it off its track. Luckily, we were able to fix it. You can actually see it in the lower right corner of the door. But this was about 3 weeks before we got new doors. So it was something that I was stressing out about, trying to make sure that we had all of our trucks inside and closed off for the night. So that's about it for me.
Anyone have any questions about the fire department? Chris, you can start and then I get you. Go ahead, Chris.
This isn't a question, it's a comment. I was the beneficiary of the first responders in this community taking care of my wife. They did an outstanding job. I was part of the first responder team at 3M, had a fair amount of training, and was able to observe really well-trained people doing the job. So thank you.
Thank you.
From you on to speak. Go ahead. Yeah.
This comment on false alarms, or something like that?
Yeah, false alarms. There's a bunch of different reasons that they're false alarms. One thing that category also can consider some of our calls to Somerset where they become false alarms, and that's actually probably where most of our false alarms are because they have a lot more businesses. Businesses that have fire alarms will go off because of smoke, dust, anything within the building. It could just be old age. We do get old age false alarms for people's smoke detectors, and we do a lot of education with that. I can tell you that we went to one call this winter that someone had a smoke alarm from, I believe it was 1998. It was over 25 years old. And so we educate our residents when we talk to them. We also try to educate them during our quarterly newsletters, and we send out and try to explain that smoke alarms should be, the batteries should be changed, that kind of thing. Some of these are just unavoidable. With everybody having, or with a lot of people having remote monitored smoke detectors now that are remote monitored at a station, your smoke alarm can go off while you're not home, and then we'll respond to it. If it's nothing, it's considered a false alarm, and that's much better than the other situation. So I've actually had a false alarm in my house and it was nothing, it wasn't my problem. It was just because they were doing construction at my house and I wasn't there. So There's a lot of reasons for false alarms, but generally the education portion is in our community is mostly smoke detector.
Is the town compensated for either a first, second, or third incident of a false alarm?
Yes, if we go back to the same, we fine, yes. Yep, we have a fee, like a fee schedule for false alarm, continual false alarms to the same residents, yes.
Anything else from anyone? I also would like to thank our fire department and first responders, and I know you have it all under the umbrella of fire and rescue. We used to have two separate departments and now they're all together under one. And they do a great job. And I just want to make a point of stating this because I did not know this. I had to call 911 last year for help and I needed an ambulance. And I can hear a siren coming. And I'm on the phone with 911 when I hear the siren turn off. And I thought they were over the hill. And I had this panicked moment of, where are they? This man informs me that they turn them off every time they drive into a development, but nobody told me that on the phone. I would have appreciated that. So I'm putting that out there for everyone. I said to Zach, I need to put this in the next newsletter because that moment of panic when you think they've driven by you is difficult at best, but they did awesome work. And I appreciated every single person that showed up and even the ones that were not there because I know they are all highly trained and are so wonderful as to how they deal with the individual and the family that is there. So you guys do a great job and we are so appreciative.
I said one quick comment as well.
Yes.
I just want to thank the town for the support of the fire department. I know if you read the news, insurance premiums are skyrocketing across the nation. Luckily, we're in a little bit better of an area for that. If you're seeing down south, a lot of that. But you know, a well-trained and a well-provisioned fire department returns money back to the town residents in the form of lower insurance premiums. So it's something worth investing in. I know as a town, we have said we're willing to be a high service town. And that does pay dividends for us with again, a well-trained, well-provisioned fire department that does return really good service back to the citizens. So thank you for everybody for supporting them.
Thank you. All right, you're up, Janet. You can turn that on. Janet's here for Parks, Trails, and Rec.
Hello, I'm Janet Winston, as Teresa mentioned. And also, Zach, I wanted to thank you for bringing up the cardiac arrest at the
park
at Willow River. She, like you said, she came back to the meeting that a couple of months in December, and it was just really neat to be here. There wasn't a dry eye in the place with her thanking everybody for saving her life, and so it was a fast action of the first responders. So that was neat. For Park Trails and Rec, the committee has been pretty busy as we usually are. The Town Hall Park, as you can see, we have the slide put in. It's not completely finished. We did finish before the frost in the fall, but we'll work on that soon, probably in May, get that finished. We're doing some plantings. The Sandpipers women's softball team is going to be playing again. I see they've already started practicing. The Town Hall Prairie, we've added signs out here. So people have been using the trails quite a bit right out here, leading trails. And sorry, why my voice gets so nervous. Let's see, the nature preserve, we have a kiosk and trail signs out there. So that if you want to go hiking out there, there's trails. The Thielen Family Cemetery, we continue to maintain that. The Perch Lake launch site in the parking lot. Perch Lake saw a lot of action last summer with the warm temperatures. The St. Croix County received a grant to install invasive species removal station, so that's going to be put in the spring. And the Highway 35 overlook, that's just the site that we're just mowing to keep the buckthorn and stuff down in that area. The outdoor recreation plan has been approved, and we're planning the town festival again along with the fire department on September 20th. Any questions?
For the kiosks and trail signs for the preserve, are those the no trespassing sign? Oh, that's something different.
No, they're trail signs,
Oh,
so it
okay.
can tell you what trails to go on.
They're gonna be coming back with a recommendation. They're gonna be coming back with a recommendation of how far apart to place those, and we're gonna get those ordered very soon. So this is Mr. Murphy, he's one of the landowners, so Janet would like to speak to you afterwards, if you don't mind.
Mail before.
So now he's here, so you get to talk to him.
Yes, I'll talk to you.
Okay, yes, Anton.
Since my daughter keeps asking, do you have a guest on the slides?
Yeah, the problem with all of us, we're all volunteers and we all travel. So we were gone a month and now he's gone. And just waiting kind of for the weather, but I think we'll be canceling some days for sure in May, I would say.
Just go ahead and use it. The mud in your house is not our problem.
That's right.
Yeah, I brought my grandkids on a muddy rainy day. That wasn't so smart. So yeah, we'll get it done. Let's say by the end of May.
Okay.
By when school's out there.
There you go.
Okay, that sounds good.
Yes, sir.
Is any traction been gained to get that bike trail hooked up to Willow River State Park?
The county has been looking at TAP grant monies to do so. Right now, they have enough to bring it up to Eckerd Blufflands Park, which is off of Old Highway 35. They would prefer to bring it around and bring it down River Road to the state park. But so far, they haven't finalized that grant monies yet, and they won't do it without. Okay, anything else? Good, thank you. Thank you. Our last report of the night has to do with the pink sheet, which is the clerk treasurer's office. And we'll let Terry speak to this.
Hello, everyone. I'll be brief. We had 2 elections last year that were pretty well attended. We had really good poll workers on staff, so everything went very smoothly. It was really good. We handled quite a few licenses last year. Most people have their dog licenses up to date, which is really good. And the biggest thing probably is the website, the new website, which is working out really well. I think people are more informed than they were in the past. We're still working on getting some things updated with getting forms on there and things like that, but it's getting there. So that is it. That's pretty much all I have to say. Does anybody have any questions?
Our office here does a great job. There's 3 people in the office and they do phenomenal. So thank you very much.
You. Appreciate it.
That concludes our reports unless there's something that I missed from anybody on the board. We will move on to the rest of our agenda. If you look on to the minutes from last year, you can see that there were some motions made. So the first one is resolutions. Is there anyone that wants to make a has a resolution with them that wants to introduce it to the electors? Okay, if not, we will move on to authorize the board to acquire or sell real estate. This was done last year, and it's up to you if you'd like to make that same motion or not.
Do we have any business for 2024 in that environment?
No, well, I don't know if there's anything we want to sell. I know the second one, we do want to have something because it's town equipment.
Well, I'll make.
That's absolutely, go ahead.
A motion on that.
To authorize the town board to purchase, purchase or sell.
And sell real estate.
Okay, is there a second? Okay, so first of all, you have to give your name to her because I know she, Jeff, and then Chris Libby. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay? Nay. Motion carried. All right, on to the second motion is to authorize the board to sell equipment. We do this every year because there's a certain amount of equipment in the town we sell, such as that tanker sitting up there next to the shed that we're going to get rid of this year. So who wants to make a motion for that? So that's Chris Libby. Is there a second? Okay, Carolyn Barrett. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed as nay. Motion carried. And so the second one is, last year you authorized any board members to work for the town at a cost of $20 an hour. Do you want to change that at any point, or do you want to leave it as it is because that moves forward at $20 an hour? So this is not our job here, it's if we work for the town outside of this. Anyone want to make a motion to change that? All right. Opportunity for electors to make statutorily accepted motions and take votes. There's statutorily that you are allowed to do things like fix the compensation for these offices. You can change how we raise money. You can, we already do some other things that are on here. I'm trying to see if there's anything, we already have zoning. We don't appoint our membership in the sanitary districts. They don't have that. So it's pretty much normal as always. If you want to change our salaries, that's about the only thing that is not, that's something that we don't have here or have it. It's something we have, we get wages, but if you want to change them, you have the ability to do so at this meeting. All right, we will move on. I'm looking for any public comment, advice, and suggestions. Anything you'd like to let the town board know at this time, because this is a meeting of the electors, so you get to tell us anything pretty much that you'd like. Yes, sir. Just introduce yourself. I'll let you stand. Okay.
I was pretty upset about this. Mother came up with build a new town hall. That was very, it seemed underhanded and hidden, and then suddenly, we're going to build a new town hall on the board again. That whole meeting was embarrassing. I mean, that voting, it was embarrassing when they voted into that new town hall.
Yep, I understand what you're saying. Okay, thank you. I appreciate what you're saying. That was a difficult meeting at best, and obviously things could have been handled a little bit differently than they were, but that's kind of a meeting like this one that it's somewhat freewheeling. So I understand what you're saying. It wasn't a surprise. It's something we've talked about for many years.
It was not well advertised at all.
Sure, I understand. All right, anyone else on the board want to answer to that? Okay, anyone else want to speak? All right, we will move on. We do not have a nomination this year for Citizen of the Year. It's disappointing. It's happened before once. So next year, think in terms of people who have worked for this town in a capacity that is not necessarily paid for, but have gone out of their way to be a good citizen and encourage and others to be so in this town and to take care of things. So our plaque is there behind Justin and Matt. Feel free to take a look at it when you're done with this meeting, and I hope next year someone comes up with some volunteers. There's a few people in this room whose names are on that, and I do appreciate all the work that they've done in the past.
So what's the process to nominate people?
You can just send it into the clerk's office. It's been on our website for over a month. Yeah, it's been on there.
So you didn't get any?
We did not get any.
I thought so. I usually get comments. I didn't see anything.
Yeah,
so
that's unfortunate.
Through the website?
Did you do it? Because did you send it directly to her? Because she didn't get it. Would you please do it for next year?
Yeah.
Okay, but send it by email. Okay. Otherwise, I want to thank you all for showing up here. It is up to the board to set this meeting. Normally it is on this third Tuesday of April because that's when the board changes per state law. So our next meeting will be the third Tuesday of April in 2025. Do you prefer 6 or 7 p.m.? That's what I would like to know from people. 7? All right. So we'll set it for 7 p.m. for next year on the third Tuesday of April 2025. Why don't you make that my motion for 7 o'clock, and I'll take a second from
I'll
someone.
second that, and that date is the 15th.
April 15th. Oh, good, tax day. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, and that passes. And I'll take a motion to adjourn. Thank you, Chris. And you'll second. There are cookies and water over there, and feel free to mull around a little bit. Thank you all for coming. We appreciate it. No, you don't move, you don't vote on adjournment.
Oh, you don't hold on it? I always do it. I make you laugh.
No, no.
Was that Janet? That's second.
Yeah.
Trying to look at you.
Basically, told them you can, I presented, calling them down and said, would you come back with residential only? Sounds like.
I see. I think you live in my apartment. So very.
It's
So what you do is.
And he's, and I've been all these months around.